What's going on YouTube? Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm gonna help you guys perform a inspection before you guys buy a used motorcycle on Marketplace or Craigslist or whatever. So this is what we're gonna check. I have a checklist over here. I reside in Maryland, so this is kind of like a rough estimate how the Maryland inspection station is doing the inspection for your motorcycle. So in the state of Maryland, you'll need to pass inspection to register a motorcycle, and they're pretty rough. So Maryland is one of the states where they do require inspection, and this is what they're gonna check. All right, so let's say you found a deal on Craigslist or Marketplace or eBay that is local, and you want to go check it out. Basically, I'm gonna do it on my 2012 Yamaha FZ1 that I just got not too long ago, and this is what I was looking for when I went check it out. First of all, there are some minor flaws with the motorcycle. I knew about, the ad specified it already, and I wasn't really concerned about that as long as the bike is in perfect mechanical condition. So, or it has like little minor issues that I could address. So you just do a walk around the bike, try to get as much information from the owner as much as you can, minor details, service records, and all that stuff, and then you do a walk around. If you like what you see, good, and then we gotta go into details. So basically what I check first is any leaks. The motor doesn't have any leaks. The oil looks okay because I just changed it. So you look at the head, below the engine, the oil pan, and any other places where the oil can sip out, or any gaskets that would fail. And after you do that, I'm looking for any type of rust. So you just go into places where the water splashes all the time and it's exposed to the elements, like most of the bikes. And you look in the back, you don't see anything. The chain, you look at the chain. My chain is dirty, but it's just dirty with grease. It's nothing really bad. Look for corrosion. This swing arm right here, it's just dirty. It's not corroded. It's not bad. I haven't really washed the bike since I got it. Like a really nice detail. But yeah, so basically you do look for rust. Next thing I check, the gas tank. The gas tank, he has any rust. If you see any rust in there, especially inside, if it's not full gas, you'll be able to see the bottom of the tank, and then you look for it. If you see any rust, it's gonna be a pain in the butt, but if you know what you're doing, it's not gonna be an issue. But for first-time motorcycle buyers, you look for rust in the tank. The tank, it's really a pain in the ass to get it cleaned up and recoated on the inside. So that's one main thing I look for. I'm hoping if the bike hasn't been sitting for a long time, it doesn't have any rust. If the bike been sitting for a long time, you might be lucky and the gas tank would be clean. And some motorcycles they do have plastic tanks, and then they have a cover on it. So if you got a one with the plastic tank, it would be fine too. Next, what I check is fork seals. The fork seals are really important because that's gonna throw off your tire wear and the handling and everything. So look at the forks. You don't have any cracks, you don't have any seals. Usually if the fork leaks, if the fork seals are leaking, they might be just dirty. You can just clean them up, but sometimes they're just bad. And you'll see oil dripping out, you'll see oil dripping on the caliper and all that stuff. Not a lot, but it's possible. So you go on the other side, make sure the forks are intact, the dust covers are intact, and it doesn't have any leakage. Next, you look at the rotors. Most of the times the rotors are not bad on the bike unless someone really abused it and then used the brakes all the time. But yeah, look at a rotor and then feel it. If you see any scoring, if you feel any scoring on the rotor on the both sides, and then you look at the brake pads. The brake pads, you can see it from underneath. There we go. Let's see. Right there, you look right here. Oops, there you go. See if he has any meat in it. Mine is pretty good. And then you check the back also. Same thing, the back, it's easier to look at. And you still have a lot of meat right here. Same thing with the rotor. Then what I'm looking for is the wheel bearings and steering head bearing. So to do that, what I usually do, tell the owner to stay there on the bike and then hold the handlebars, and I shake the front wheel. So basically what I would do is this. There you go. So the owner sits on the bike and holds it firm. And what I do, I just shake it back and forth. Grab the forks, shake it back and forth, and he's holding it. I'm just shaking left and right to see if he has any clicking, any binding or anything. Turn the wheels also is a good idea. If he has any, if you hear any clunking, or if it has any points where it's sticking and stuff like that. Same with the back. The back is not really. I mean, you can shake the back also. Shake it left and right, back and forth, to see if you can hear any clicking, any abnormal wear and feel. Next thing, what I'm doing, let's go by the checklist. What they're doing for inspection: the swing arm, the wheels. Make sure the wheels are fine, they're not cracked, they don't have any wear or any indentations from like potholes and stuff like that. And then the tires are a really important thing. This is what is a major safety issue with the tires. Old tires, you always want to make sure the tires are pretty new, they're not worn out and bald, and they're pretty soft to touch. They're not like rock solid or woody texture, and they're not worn. If the tires are worn, you need to change them. And if they're too old, you need to change them. Let's say you buy a 1986 motorcycle, and then with a low miles, like 3,000 miles or 4,000 miles, you look at the tire, they still look okay, but it's a 30-year-old bike, and you need to change the tires. The tires are really important. This is what gives you traction. This is what makes you lean, and they have to be grippy so you won't slide everywhere. And they have to have a lot of tread also. My tires are pretty new. It's not bad. Next thing, what they check on the thing, the brakes. We talk about the brakes, the exhaust system. Make sure the exhaust system is not corroded. Look on the, doesn't have any holes, any punctures, anything out of place. Mine has an off the market slip-on exhaust. This is the stock headers, are pretty good condition. Next, you need to check the brakes if they're okay. Look at the fluid. Usually some bikes have hydraulic brakes on the front and hydraulic clutch, so you'll have two reservoirs to look at. Clutch is right there, and then the front brake is right here. Rear brake is right there, and you have the let's see, where is the thing right here? mine. I don't know where my rear brake reservoir is, but usually they're sitting somewhere around here, and then you'll visually inspect it to see if it's too black or anything like that. Make sure the fluid is nice and clear. Same with here with the hydraulic clutch fluid. Also, check the lever. If the lever is too soft, that might be an issue. And make sure it disengages properly and it's not sticky. The throttle cable returns back to normal and it's not sticky. If it's sticky, you might have a problem with the cable. You have to clean it up. It's a total mess. The brake, make sure is really firm. Next, you start a bike. What you want to do, start a bike. Make sure the bike starts up the first try. If it's warm outside, if it's cold outside and it's a carbureted bike, you have like a choke lever right here. Just put it all the way open, all the way down or all the way up, depends where it is, and start the bike. The bike should start on the first try. The bike should start on the first try. If you're looking at the fuel injected motorcycle, make sure you don't have any FI lights coming up or the codes on the screen, like you guys can see right here. Check engine light, and I have the FI light, the fuel injected light coming up somewhere. Let's see. I think mine would show right here somewhere on the dash. If it's a carbureted motorcycle, you don't have to worry about it. Check engine light, it doesn't have it. It's not carbureted. It's not fuel injected. Next thing I look for, if it's a carbureted motorcycle, right here on the back of the motor, it's supposed to be the carburetors, right? And since this is a fuel injected motorcycle, the carburetor are missing. They have injectors, and then the frame, it's masking them, because on a fuel injected motorcycle, it's nothing you can do and diagnose it or fix on the side of the road, and then you don't really have access to it. You have to tear it apart, take the tank up and all that stuff, access everything. But on a carbureted motorcycle, the carburetor should be seen on the side. So on the back, between the engine and the carburetors are the boots. Make sure the boots are in good condition and not cracked. Make sure nothing is leaking. The fuel system, the fuel lines, you might see some going to the carburetor, and then make sure nothing is leaking. You don't want to catch on fire whenever you're riding a motorcycle and it gets too hot. So leaks, that's out of the question, right? Make sure the bike doesn't have any leaks. Make sure all the lights are working, turn signals left and right. Check the brakes to see if the lights are working when you press the front brake and the rear brake on the other side. Make sure the brake is pretty firm. It doesn't have a lot of travel, so it's not too spongy. And let's see, let's go by the list to see if I missed anything. Right, the speedometer, odometer. Oh yes, if you're buying a used motorcycle that's been down, that's been crashed, that's been I don't know, into an accident, let's say, and then the fairings are missing, the tachometer is missing, and you look on the title, it says it has like, I don't know, 6,000 miles, and then the tachometer is missing. Now you don't know how many miles you got on it. The title might be, I don't know, 3-4 years old, and then the owner just crashed it. You don't know how many miles you put on it. Make sure the motorcycle has a tachometer and a speedometer and odometer, because that's going to be a requirement for state inspection and for registration, and you don't want to have any discrepancies in it. It's going to be hard to sell afterwards. What else? What else? The engine mount, a chain adjustment. Make sure the chain is not too tight. It doesn't have a lot of slack. So basically, you check. It doesn't have a lot of travel. It's supposed to be like I believe an inch or an inch, a little bit less than an inch. I don't know how I don't remember how to measure it right now, but make sure it's not too tight. Make sure it's not too loose. So you don't want it to like wobble all the way up and down, or you don't want to be too tight where you cannot really move it, because you can break. The sprockets. Look at the sprockets. Look at the teeth. Make sure they're nice and even. They don't have a peak on either side, or they're not really too sharp. So you're looking for that flat part on the top, the flat surface right there on the top. Make sure it's not too sharp, or it's not laying on one side or the other. What else? Let's see, go by the list. Chain guard, fenders. Oh, you need to look for what are those? Reflectors. The reflectors are really big part of inspection, because if you don't have one, you're gonna fail. Even though the motorcycle is in perfect condition, if you're missing one of those in the back or the front, you're gonna fail the inspection. So you got those in the front on either side, and then supposed to have them on the back. I did, and I took them off because they were not stuck. Since I have a fender eliminator kit, they were stuck on the side on my stock tail TD right there, and then I just took them out and placed the sticky ones right here for inspection. And then you have to have one of those reflectors on the side on a license plate. That's another big no-no if you don't have it. And the windshield, if equipped, some sport bikes they have the windshield, some naked bikes they don't have it, some cruiser they don't have it, so that's not really a requirement. The choke, headlights, the headlights, make sure they're working left and right, or one high beam, low beam if you have only single headlight. What else? The horn, make sure the horn is working. Reflectors, talk about that. The wiring connection, yes. So the wiring, you don't want to have a bike that's been tempered, the wiring have been tempered with, because it might be a pain in the ass. Some owners, they think their bike are cooler if they add all sorts of accessories and lights, and they temper with the wiring harness. So basically what you want to do is make sure all the wiring harness that you can see, maybe under the seat where the main battery is. You look under the seat and look over here to see if you see any type of DIY stuff with the lights. See, like this one, this is for my tag light. The tag light is another important thing you have to have. So I checked this already, and it's soldered out, and then it just has the electric tape over it, so I'm not really worried about that. Plus, I've been working on bikes for a long time, so I'm not really worried about it. Next, let's go by the list. Hydraulic system, landing pad, drumsticks. Okay, one thing I have to tell you guys that one of my motorcycles failed, the Ninja 650. I had the aftermarket handlebars, and there's like clip-on handlebars, and my brake lever and clutch lever would hit my windshield. So when I was doing this, you would touch, and right here, you would, when I'm at full turn on the left side, you would press slightly the front brake, and that would cause a crash, even at low speeds. If you're locking up the front wheel, you're not thinking, you're just gonna go sideways and you're gonna crush. So that's one main thing. If you're having off the market handlebars or clip-ons or whatever it might be, make sure all the whole travel, it's not affecting either the clutch or the brake lever. That's one of the main things too. I didn't even realize it when I bought the motorcycle. It came with it, and I thought it was cool. Rode 120 miles back, the round trip, to get it back home, and then my hands were tired, so I had to change that anyways. Yeah, I think this is it. This is what you are going to look for when you're purchasing a used motorcycle. Hopefully this video helped you guys, and yeah, see you guys next time. Alright, so I forgot to mention a couple of things to check in the video. So there is, whenever you put the bike on a center stand, if it does have a center stand, make sure you go through all the gears and you shift smoothly. It doesn't have any issues going through the gear or whatnot. And whenever you go for a test ride, if you do know how to ride a motorcycle, you go for a little test ride and make sure it goes through all the gears fine. It doesn't jump out of the gear whenever it's under load. And the bike doesn't pull left or doesn't pull right. If you're confident enough to take your hands off the handlebar, make sure the bike sits straight, doesn't pull left or right. Like I said, that would have an issue either with the bearings or the bike being dropped, and the frame is a little bit off, crooked, and stuff like that. Make sure the frame is not cracked. Also, check with the light, with the flashlight, through all the crevices to see if you have any cracks and welds. If the bike has any signs of being dropped on the side, usually on the side cases of the motor or the fairings or the bar ends, would have scratches and stuff like that. If the guy that you buy it from mentions that he dropped the bike or he just dropped it from standstill or whatever, well, you want to make sure you don't have any cracks or nothing is bent. And that's about it. Make sure it goes through all the gears, and I think if you like the bike, you buy it. You know, if everything checks out, you buy it. If not, you can keep looking and find the perfect bike for you. So if you guys like this video, please let me know. If not, you can leave a comment or whatnot. If you have a question, you can leave a comment and I'll get back to you guys whenever I see the comment. Alright, stay tuned, and if you like the video, click like and subscribe if you're not. See you guys next time.